Café Anyway. Hey. It's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast here in Podcastro Valley at Café Anyway, the last place on earth.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode 2602, 2602. Hey, did you know that it went crazy weather? Oh, here in the Bay Area was really cold. It got cold and wet, and then I forget. I don't know. It was so hot last week, and then it got cold.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
This is why my equilibrium is completely off. So that's how we'll start off
Mike's
today's podcast.
Daily
And all of this
Podcast.
bank talk.
Yeah.
Banks. It's just, look, all we're trying to do is save Mr. Banks, and that's about it. And watch an Emma Thompson movie and a Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is playing so many older. I know he's older, but he plays this. It's odd. It's like he's playing Walt Disney all the time now. Every character he gets casted for. He gets cast for all of these. This is good stuff, what I'm telling you here. Have you noticed? He's gotten older. He's putting on the weight. I know he had COVID and he was stuck in Australia for a while. And things have gotten weird in his life. Sort of. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I know that. So last night I watched Crazy Rich Asians. Is that what it's called? Yes. And it was fascinating, and they're really, really rich, and they're Asian, and they wanted to get married. Or there was a wedding, and then everybody gets wedding fever, and somebody else wants to get married, but then the mom doesn't want them.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Total soap opera. I don't know. I guess there was something redeemed. I saw them play, is it Mahjong? That was interesting. Okay, the podcast picture is not me playing Mahjong. It is me at Google from this amazing trip I took over the weekend.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
Things going on at the Google, one of the Google campuses. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com, a little inside the world of the tech industry, Silicon Valley and all that. See a picture of me in my wonderful checkered shirt. Here's the late great Basil the Boxer. You know what he would not be happy with? He would not be happy with the fact that I've got Rocky the cat sitting on my lap at this point. But you know what? That doesn't matter, because tomorrow, or maybe you're listening to this today as it is May 3rd. Maybe you're listening to this and it's May 3rd. Today is National Two Different Colored Shoes Day. Wasn't that a movie that Tom Hanks did, The Man with One Red Shoe? See how it all ties back around? This happens regularly on the podcast. Stuff comes back around. Of course, that also might be because the host is talking about a bunch of different things, and at some point something's going to be connected, like a stopwatch being right twice a day. Also, National Interpreter Appreciation Day. As someone who values, adores communication, it is so important that we have good interpreters. Now there's AI to do a lot of interpreting, but it all started with somebody putting that data into a computer somewhere. And a lot of times you can't access that stuff, like maybe you don't have any phone, or you need a human. And thus, a National Interpreter Appreciation Day is here as the cat is bumping against my microphone. It's also National Paranormal Day. Not Paranorman, but paranormal. Who can explain the paranormal? A lot of people try. A lot of people that I don't care to give too much time to. National Specially Abled Pets Day. Specially abled. Wow. The late great Basil the Boxer, towards the end of his life, became specially abled. National Bike to School Day. Well, I didn't bike to school. Well, wait a minute. When you're listening to this, maybe I am biking to school or biking to work. Actually, I think I'm going to take Bart to work. We'll see if that works. Not quite the same thing. And Montana apparently has a day on the 3rd of May called National Montana Day. Don't know what they do on National Montana Day. And I also missed that it's National Chocolate Custard Day. Amazing chocolate custard. Which is better, chocolate ice cream or chocolate custard? Neither. Chocolate mousse. That's what wins, hands down. No. I don't know. They're both just amazing. Thought I'd pass that along to you. What is happening? What is going on in this world today? Well, yes, the bank situation. The Fed is meeting it again. With inflation still ripping, the Federal Reserve is expected to announce its 10th straight interest rate hike at the conclusion of its meeting tomorrow, which may be today for you. It is possible the Fed could hit pause after this one. We've heard that over and over and over again. Some people say that's what's causing all the problems with the banks. There was the Federal Reserve. JP Morgan Chase took over most assets and deposits from First Republic Bank, which, as you know, is doing poorly. Cinco de Mayo, as a reminder, is on Friday. And we also find out how the jobs report is going on Friday. So, yes, from what it looks like, from what I have heard, the job openings has gone down quite a bit. The employment, what you can get employed, if you lose your job now, you might not get employed as quickly as you would, like, let's say, a year ago. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
The FAA has launched 170 new, faster, high-altitude fly routes. These are flight routes to avoid congestion along the East Coast.
The front panel will close automatically.
So planes will be flying higher. Does that mean that our ears are going to pop more or be more painful when they pop? I don't know. But that's interesting. We'll be higher up. I don't know. I can't tell. When I'm in the plane, I can't tell how high I am. I just know I can look down and go, I think I know what that is. I think I know what state that is. Speaking of which, 62% of Americans are planning to spend more on travel in 2023. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, JP Morgan did take over First Republic's deposits and a substantial majority of assets. It came after regulators took possession of First Republic, resulting in the third failure of an American bank since March. First Republic set off a new wave of concern last month with the revelation that it lost more deposits than expected. In March, JP Morgan Chase, already the largest U.S. bank, according to several experts, JP Morgan is getting about $92 billion in deposits from this merger, which includes the $30 billion that it and other large banks put into First Republic last month. Remember, they were trying to save it a month ago. The bank is taking on $173 billion in loans and $30 billion in securities as well. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, agreed to share losses on mortgages and commercial loans. The banking system remains sound and resilient, and Americans should feel confident in the safety of their deposits. This according to the podcast that I produce just about every day called Rob Black and Your Money. Rob Black wrote up some of this stuff, and I find it fascinating. And yes, you may not know, speaking of writers, The writer's strike is going on. It is the first strike for the first time in 15 years.
Magnification.
And now we are 15 years into the streaming revolution. Yes, 15. So part of this is a deal that needs to adapt to the shared new reality of streaming. A prolonged strike could send Hollywood into a deep freeze, and people might find other ways to get new content, like listen to podcasts, like yours truly, Mike Matthews. A lot of TV shows might go off the air. Well, definitely shows will be on hiatus. Your shows that are daily, as far as Monday through Friday, The Daily Show, for example, won't have any new content. Any show that has the word late in it, or tonight, any late night show, a lot of soap operas are going to go on to hiatus. A lot of just stuff that gets written. And we had a threat of this a couple years back, didn't we? More reality shows are going to start flooding the airwaves. Yikes. Ugh. And our economy here in California is going to lose billions. Hollywood's pivot to... Do you know what I heard today? I didn't realize that BuzzFeed is closing down. BuzzFeed, they're not script writers, but they did bring you a lot of news. And because of a lot of social media no longer pushing news from other outlets, they're pushing their own news. They are going to, they have to fold BuzzFeed. Hollywood's pivot to streaming worsened their working conditions. It made it hard to earn a middle-class income as a writer. In the previous TV era, shows like How I Met Your Mother, that ended so horribly. Ugh. All that time wasted watching that show. They ended it so badly. Reliably churned out seasons with 20-plus episodes. Yeah, you know how it is. You're like, oh, I really like this show. I'm going to watch every single episode. Then you find out every season's got like 22 episodes. And you think, how on earth is this going to... And then after you've watched episode number 7, you start to realize there is a formula here. And I know exactly what's going to happen every single episode. 5 minutes in, I know what's going to happen. And then you quit watching because you get so burned out. Unlike a lot of programs that come from England, Australia, New Zealand, these shows, they basically have 6 episodes, sometimes 3. It's very short. They're just a couple and they're done.
Later that day.
All right. Do you know what just happened? I'll tell you what just happened. I was talking and this stopped. But I didn't know it stopped, so I was talking for a long time. It's kind of embarrassing. So what I was saying was, and I'll just wrap this up. So streamers are prioritizing seasons with 8 to 12 episodes and keeping it short, like this podcast is going to try and do. People want more residuals because TV shows don't go into rerun as much anymore, as streaming has disrupted that income stream. And my father, not a writer, but he had a line in a movie and he gets residuals, my late father, but the check is about 85 cents every couple months. But still, it's a residual that I'm proud to get for the family from Dad. But they also have... So, obviously, the writers want something much bigger than that, more often, more frequent, some big check. And a lot of them are working in mini rooms. I've been hearing a lot about this. What that is in the streaming age, writers often work in mini rooms where they crank out scripts at low wages for shows that may or may not even be made. If a show is not made, does it make a noise like a tree in the forest or a guy doing a podcast? If no one listens to it, does he do a podcast? Well, AI scripts is also an issue. If you've asked your AI, your chat GBT or whatever you're using to do stuff, it's pretty dang amazing what it can do just with a couple of instructions. So that's going to be an issue. every major media company has cut costs in the last year. Disney CEO Bob Iger, he's restructuring Disney, letting a lot of people go, letting a lot of, focusing more on the name brand stuff, thereby making them completely unoriginal. I saw another Peter Pan movie thing that they just made. Haven't they done that to death? They pull like the most obscure character out of some huge franchise. I'm waiting for them to redo the Black Hole and have like Ernest Borgnine's son show up. And what it is Disney Plus has become what Disney was doing in the 80s and 90s when they started doing all this direct-to-video stuff. They did a direct-to-video Aladdin sequel. It was horrible. They came out, it was horrible animation, not the same voices. That's what Disney Plus has become. Apple and Amazon.com are not really media producers. They are more tech companies. And overall, writers don't trust Netflix. NBC just lost their CEO, Jeff Shell. He lost his job. So that's it. Now, hopefully I recorded that because I'm deleting that little bit forever. And you'll never hear it again unless you hit rewind. But that's what's going on in the world. Look who's here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Wow, I wish you were creative like writers are, Mike Matthews. Thank you. Wow. Wow, Mike Matthews, that was 3 wows in a row. It's sort of like, well, 3 holes in the ground, Mike Matthews. Oh, wow, who taught you that? My dad. Who's your dad? Gary Sinise. It comes back around. Gary Sinise is my dad. Wow. And he was in a movie with Tom Hanks. I know, Mike Matthews, he's gotten really heavy lately. He's kind of bigger. Yes. And he plays the same role every movie. That's just like the Walt Disney guy. He's either Southern Walt Disney or it seems to me he's always playing a Walt Disney character. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I wanted to tell you that I hope they fix all the stuff at your radio station. Thank you, John Deere. Yes, in fact, we are having an issue with one of our transmitters right now due to the wind that occurred recently in the Bay Area. Wind and some rain. It did a doozy thing to some electricity going to our transmitter. So, yes, very frustrating. And today, the engineer who's working on that, he handed to me a certificate recognizing my 8 years with the company. And he told me, thank you for dealing with all the insanity. Well, there is a lot. And it comes in interesting forms. Like, okay, here it is May, and we still have weather that knocks out our transmitters. That's upsetting. During COVID, I had a staff. They no longer work for me anymore, but they've gone on to bigger, better things. Honestly, they have. Really, they have. But they got a little too chummy with each other during COVID. And the fact that I was not coming into work because the company told me you need to work from home because of shelter in place, but we still needed people to come into the station because we had live shows and we wouldn't have been on the air without them being there. Very thankful for them for that, but they got to be chummy with each other and they kind of created this union and basically told me, Mike, we're not going to do anything you ask us to do. And I had that little writer's strike happening, but in the radio world. So that was not fun as a manager, an odd occurrence. Now things worked out. They decided they weren't happy at our company, and one got into the world of science and the other got into the world of more news. And I wish them all the best, and I kind of keep in touch with them. But here's the thing. You just got to roll with it, and you just got to try and find your equilibrium, and everything will work out. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. If you would like to call me and let me know what you think of anything we covered today, please call me at my East Bay phone number, 510-228-4640. 510-228-4640. And with more ways to reach me, it is A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!